Imagine discovering a secret about someone you love, a truth so explosive that it shakes the very foundation of your trust, your understanding, your entire world. Harry knew trust. He had lived under its scrutiny all his life, navigating the treacherous waters of the royal family, balancing public perception and private reality. But nothing could have prepared him for what Sarah Ferguson revealed. In the early hours of a chilly London morning, Harry's phone lit up. A name flashed on the screen: Sarah, Duchess of York. And with that simple call, the course of the day, and perhaps his life, was about to change forever. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. When we talk about Meghan's past, people immediately think of glamour, red carpets, and Hollywood lights. But behind the carefully curated public image, there were chapters that very few knew. Yacht days, secret meetings, whispered conversations with powerful men. And now, according to Sarah Ferguson herself, a revelation that left Harry speechless. Meghan had been Andrew's first client. The words were simple, yet their weight was monumental. Every relationship, every trust, every choice suddenly became colored by this hidden history. But before we dive into that explosive disclosure, let's set the stage. Meghan Markle, the woman who would one day marry into the royal family, was not just a Hollywood actress. She was ambitious, calculated, and above all, incredibly strategic. She knew what she wanted, and she didn't shy away from the paths, sometimes controversial, that led her there. And while her public image painted one story, Sarah Ferguson's revelations promised a behind-the-scenes look that would challenge everything the world thought it knew. Harry's reaction to the call wasn't immediate anger. It wasn't disbelief. It was a quiet, simmering shock. A cold, creeping sensation that settled in his chest, the kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew. Because when someone you trust, someone who has been part of your life in ways both intimate and complicated, reveals a secret like this, it isn't just information. It's a challenge to your reality. Why now? Why would Sarah Ferguson, the former wife of Prince Andrew, choose this exact moment to drop such a bomb? Timing, as in most royal scandals, was everything. The world was watching, as always. Harry and Meghan had been navigating the fine line between privacy and exposure for years. They had their moments of triumph, their media victories, their strategic retreats. And yet, as with all powerful narratives, there was a twist waiting just beyond the horizon, a revelation poised to disrupt everything. Sarah's motivations weren't entirely clear. Was it loyalty to Harry? A desire to set the record straight? Or was there a more complex motive? An interwoven tapestry of personal history, royal protocol, and hidden grievances? Whatever the reason, the impact was immediate. Harry's world tilted on its axis. The familiar lines of trust and loyalty suddenly blurred. And just like that, Meghan's yacht days, once a footnote, a rumor, a whisper, took center stage. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine being Harry. You've spent your entire life under scrutiny. Every relationship you've formed, every move you've made, is analyzed and judged. And now, a revelation surfaces that challenges the very core of your understanding of someone you love. The questions start tumbling in. What did Meghan really do during those yacht days? How deep was Andrew's involvement? Why was she described as his first client? And perhaps the most personal question of all, did this change how Harry saw Meghan, the woman he thought he knew, the woman he had chosen to build a life with? And yet, despite the shock, the confusion, the potential heartbreak, Harry had to process it. There was no guidebook for this kind of betrayal, no precedent for how to navigate a revelation that combined personal emotion, royal politics, and global media scrutiny. Every step he took would be observed. Every reaction he displayed could be dissected. Every decision had consequences far beyond his own life. The story wasn't just about scandal. It was about strategy, manipulation, and survival. Because Meghan's yacht days weren't simply glamorous escapes. They were a network, a world of influence and power that very few outsiders understood. And Andrew? He was no minor player in this story. His connections, his access, his influence within the royal family made the revelation not just personal, but political. Now, let's consider Sarah Ferguson's role. Often dismissed as a figure of entertainment or royal gossip, she was, in reality, someone who understood the nuances of the monarchy better than most. She knew the stakes, the alliances, and the potential fallout of every disclosure. So when she chose to reveal that Meghan was Andrew's first client, it wasn't idle chatter. It was a deliberate, calculated disclosure designed to have impact. And that impact was devastating. The public would later see snippets, half-truths, and sensationalized headlines. But Harry saw the full picture. He understood the layers. He felt the tension in the unsaid words, the implications of Sarah's phrasing, the subtle hints dropped between sentences. Every detail mattered, because in the royal family, details are rarely trivial. A single phrase, a single gesture, can shift perceptions, influence decisions, and reshape legacies. And then came the question that haunted Harry. What did this mean for Meghan, for Andrew, and for him? Because in this revelation, there was a web of relationships, loyalties, and betrayals that extended far beyond the yacht. There were implications for family dynamics, for public perception, and for the future of the monarchy itself. And for Harry, there was a deeply personal reckoning. Could he reconcile the woman he loved with the secrets of her past? Could he navigate the treacherous waters of royal politics while protecting those he cared about? This story isn't just sensational. It's a study in human behavior, in trust and betrayal, in the delicate balance between public image and private reality. And it raises questions every one of us can relate to, even if not on a royal scale. How do we handle secrets from the past? How much do we judge people for their choices before we knew them? And what happens when someone you trust reveals a truth that changes everything? As we move into the chapters ahead, remember this: the yacht days were just the beginning. Andrew's involvement, Meghan's strategy, and Sarah Ferguson's disclosure are threads in a much larger tapestry, a tapestry that reveals power, manipulation, ambition, and heartbreak in equal measure. Each chapter will peel back another layer, exposing details that are more shocking than the last. Each chapter will force you to question what you thought you knew, and each will end with a twist that keeps the story moving, keeping you on the edge of your seat. So buckle up, because Harry's journey through revelation, shock, and emotional turmoil is only beginning. The yacht days, the first client, and the secrets Sarah Ferguson revealed are about to reshape not only Harry's understanding of Meghan, but the very narrative of the royal family as we know it. And just when you think you have a grasp on the story, just when you think you understand the scope of the betrayal, Sarah drops the line that changes everything. Harry heard it, and for a moment, he didn't know what to say. Because what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever received a call that freezes your blood, even before you answer it? For Harry, that morning was exactly that moment. The ringtone itself might as well have been a drumbeat of doom. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, on the line. Her voice, calm but deliberate, carried news that would shatter everything Harry thought he knew about Meghan, about Andrew, and about the hidden corners of the royal world. When she spoke, she didn't waste words. Every sentence, carefully chosen, carried weight. Harry, she began, almost conversationally, there's something you need to know about Meghan's past. Something about the yacht days. Harry's heart skipped. Yacht days? That vague phrase had been whispered in tabloids, mentioned in passing in interviews, but now it came alive, delivered by someone who knew the family, the palace, the stakes. He asked the first question that any sane person would. What do you mean? But Sarah didn't respond immediately. There was a pause, almost like the calm before a storm. Then the bombshell. Meghan had been Andrew's first client. Those words hit harder than anything Harry had encountered before. He repeated them in his head, trying to make sense of them. Client? First client? The mind races. The implications are immediate. Trust fractured. Questions multiplied. How could this be? What did she mean? And why now? Sarah's tone shifted slightly, deliberate, almost taunting. She knew the impact. She knew the layers of emotion embedded in those words. It's not just about her being his first client, she added. It's about what that meant for the network, for influence, and for the people around her, including you, Harry. Every word felt like a weight dropped on his chest. There was history here, power dynamics he had never fully grasped, and a complexity that went beyond the personal. This was political, emotional, and deeply strategic all at once. Harry's mind raced back to the first moments he met Meghan, to the times they had shared, the private moments that felt intimate and genuine. Could all of it coexist with this revelation? Could the person he loved truly have a past so entwined with someone like Andrew? It wasn't just a shock. It was a challenge to everything he believed about loyalty, love, and transparency. Sarah didn't stop there. She began to outline a timeline, connecting threads that Harry hadn't noticed. Meghan's yacht days weren't random social events. They were orchestrated moments, opportunities, and perhaps even manipulations, all designed to create networks, influence decisions, and position her strategically in circles that mattered. Andrew's role? Crucial. The first client wasn't just a casual descriptor. It signaled entry into a world of power, of influence, and of secrets. Harry listened, stunned. The emotional conflict inside him was immediate and palpable. Anger, confusion, a touch of betrayal, but also a strange sense of admiration. Meghan was ambitious, yes. She had navigated complex networks with precision. But did that justify the secrecy? Did that make the revelation any easier to swallow? He had so many questions, and Sarah seemed to have only begun to answer them. Pause for a moment and consider the implications. Andrew, Meghan, Sarah Ferguson, Harry himself, intertwined in a web that few outsiders could even begin to understand. Every interaction, every meeting, every public smile might have had layers of hidden meaning. Every handshake could conceal a strategic decision. And Harry, who prided himself on seeing through facades, felt blindsided. How had he missed the signals? How had Meghan kept such a chapter so carefully out of sight? Sarah's next revelation hit like a hammer. She described meetings, yacht trips, private arrangements, and subtle influences that were invisible to the public eye. Harry's mind tried to compartmentalize. He wanted to reject it, to distance himself from the discomfort, to tell himself that perhaps she was exaggerating, that perhaps it wasn't what it seemed. But deep down, he knew Sarah. He knew her instincts. And when Sarah Ferguson said something was significant, it usually was. And there was more. The call revealed nuances that Harry had never considered. Details about Andrew's expectations, the structure of influence, and the delicate dance Meghan had performed to navigate it. Harry's emotions oscillated wildly. He felt a flash of fear. What if the public knew? What if the family knew? What if the carefully constructed image of Meghan, of their life together, crumbled under this revelation? And then there was the personal element. Harry couldn't ignore it. Beyond strategy, influence, and reputation, there was love. He had loved Meghan deeply. He had believed in her, trusted her. This revelation threatened not just their public image, but their private bond. The trust between them felt suddenly fragile, as though the foundation of their relationship had been undermined without warning. Questions spun in Harry's head faster than he could process. Did Meghan ever intend to hide this? Did she think it wouldn't matter? Or did she think he wouldn't find out? Was Andrew's involvement innocent, or was there more to the story? And most importantly, how would he confront Meghan without destroying what remained of their relationship? Sarah Ferguson, calm and composed, continued. She spoke about the consequences, the potential fallout if the details of Meghan's past became public. Harry felt a chill. He knew how quickly the media could amplify a story, how tabloids could twist words, and how public opinion could turn against someone in a heartbeat. And yet, in that moment, it wasn't just the public that mattered. It was Harry's private reckoning with the truth. He began to understand that this wasn't simply a revelation of past events. It was a mirror, reflecting his own assumptions, his own blind spots, and the limits of what he believed he knew about the people closest to him. And it was a warning. Secrets, no matter how carefully hidden, have a way of surfacing. Timing is everything, and Sarah Ferguson had chosen this moment perfectly, when the impact would be maximal, when the stakes were highest. And just as Harry felt the weight of all this pressing down, Sarah paused. The line went quiet for a fraction of a second, and in that silence, Harry sensed the full gravity of what was coming next. The details she had shared were only the beginning. The revelation of Meghan's yacht days and her connection to Andrew's network was shocking enough. But Sarah had hinted at something even more consequential. Something that would directly affect Harry. Something that would challenge not just his understanding of Meghan, but his sense of the royal family itself. It was one of those moments where time seems to stretch. Harry could hear the subtle inflections in Sarah's voice, the slight hesitation that suggested she knew the next piece of information would be devastating. He braced himself. Every instinct screamed to hang up, to protect himself, to run from the storm of emotions ready to hit. But curiosity, loyalty, and the need for clarity kept him listening. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming.